This is The Organized Mind with Vanessa Fernandez, health and wellness coach, homeschooling mom of 4, and dedicated to empowering women and helping them find their inner radiance. You'll find me here every Friday night talking about how we can find freedom through an organized mind, even if everything else in our lives is in chaos. My name is Vanessa Fernandez, and I am one of the Star Diamond coaches here who helps run this wellness community. I'm so excited to be doing this little chat with you guys about breastfeeding and weight loss. It's something that is very near and dear to my heart, that I have just exited out of the breastfeeding stage. My little girl just turned 20 months and we just weaned her, so it's kind of bittersweet. She probably is my very last baby, so I'm closing the door on that saga, but I have learned a lot, and so I'm just going to go right ahead and jump in, and hopefully, if you're catching this live, shoot me a little emoji. If you're catching it on the record, just type in recording so that I can know, who's here with me and who's catching it later, which either one is fine. As a mom of 4, I know that sometimes even if we have things on our schedules, life happens, but I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. So, like I said, my name is Vanessa Fernandez, and I have 4 beautiful children. I am so grateful that I was able to breastfeed each of them for at least a year. My 4th is, hey, Teresa. My 4th is just got weaned at 20 months. She was my longest. The others mostly stuck around a year of breastfeeding. And I'm so grateful for that. I don't take that for granted. I don't believe that there's like this badge of honor. I just did my best, and I'm grateful that that was what the result was. And when I did the calculations over the past 8 years, I have been pregnant or breastfeeding for 7 of those 8 years. Hey, Tiffany. Hey, Charlene. Yay, I'm so glad you guys are here live. So 7 out of the 8 past years, I've been breastfeeding or pregnant. It's been, a season. It's been great, but it's been intense, and it's consumed a lot of my life. So about halfway through these past 8 years, for 4 of those years, I've been a Beachbody coach. I have been a fitness coach. I've been working on my own wellness journey and helping other women along the way. And the reason why I started being a Beachbody coach was because I was able to lose the weight pretty easily with my first 2 babies. I don't know if it was the breastfeeding or what, but the weight just came off. I gained 45 pounds pretty much with all of my pregnancies. Actually, my last 2, I gained 50 pounds. But the weight came off for my first 2. On the 3rd one, though, I was not so lucky. I was holding on to 35 pounds. I got a gym membership. I went every day. Sometimes I'd work out twice a day because I was also doing YouTube videos. I tried to do the Bikini Body Mommy, Pop Pilates, other YouTube stuff, Couch to 5K apps, MyFitnessPal, anything that I could think of to try, I was trying it. And nothing was budging, nothing was changing. I believed in breastfeeding. I knew that I loved it. I knew that it was what I wanted to do. But when I started thinking, well, maybe the working out isn't enough, maybe I need to change my diet, I got really nervous because the only dieting I had ever done previous to this was deprive, cut calories, feel hungry, and I knew that wasn't going to work with breastfeeding. So I was like, well, then, what are my options? Because that's all I've known. So before I continue with my story, though, I do just want to take a minute and say something straight from my heart to yours. Having a baby changes everything. I don't care if it's your first or your 4th. Pregnancy stretches and strains and overwhelms your body and your mind. And at the same time, it is a gift, right? It's sad but true, because before I became pregnant, I hardly thought about what I put into my body. But as soon as I saw those 2 little blue lines, you better believe I was reading labels and researching everything. And it only continued with breastfeeding. So in that sense, it was a gift. It woke me up to start actually thinking about what I was putting into my body, to actually be questioning, is this really healthy? Is this really good? And for a lot of us as women, it's a gift. Even though it throws everything off, hormones and weight and all sorts of things, it's a good gift to wake us up and allow us to start evaluating, what am I eating? I had this weight of responsibility that everything that goes into that sweet little baby's body is my responsibility. And it was overwhelming. But it helped me to love myself almost for the first time. It helped me to stop treating my body like crap. And it doesn't always happen with pregnancy. For some people, it's a terrible like sickness. They just hit the wall physically. And it's so sad that it takes some of these big monumental life-changing things to get us to actually start treating our bodies well. But hey, that's just how it is, right? So after having baby number 3 and having those 35 pounds hanging on my body, I figured I have to do something about it. Now, if you're in the season as well, and you're going to hear me say this a few times, you cannot approach weight loss from a place of hating your body or wishing that it would go back to the way it was, or impatience. I want to do it now. The only way to have healthy weight loss through this breastfeeding journey is to do it from a place of self-love, of utmost respect for what your body is, what it has done, and what it will continue to do. When you approach weight loss from that perspective, it's okay to mourn. The stretch mark free skin is no longer stretch mark free. Your breasts just are not they're not so perky anymore. And those bags under the eyes, they're going to be there probably forever. Part of motherhood is moving into this season of mourning a little bit and realizing that we're dying to some things, we're losing some things, we're giving up to some things. Our life will never be the same, but at the same time, letting gratitude flood in. Everything that is new and reborn has to go through a season of death. Unless a seed dies, there can be no new life, no new plant. Something is gone, but it's made way for something better. And it also has to come, this journey has to come with patience. To be oh so patient with your sweet body. It may never go back. I don't know about you guys though, I don't want to go backwards. I want to move forwards. Our bodies cannot go backwards, but they can go forwards. They can heal. They can become stronger and more incredible than you've ever seen before. Even with all those warrior tiger stripes, stretch marks that we have now. So going back to my story of wellness, I was Googling everything. I was looking on Pinterest, and besides the basic add 500 calories when breastfeeding, I couldn't find anything that would satisfy me as far as a healthy weight loss program. So as Providence would have it, a program called the 21 Day Fix came out like that during that exact season. And it intrigued me because it was similar to Weight Watchers, which I had tried in the past and totally had done in the most unhealthy way, where I would use all my points for like my cheat foods and then just kind of starve myself the rest of the day, but I was staying under my points. So hey. But I felt miserable because I was getting like no nutrients. So when I saw the 21 Day Fix, I recognized the difference, and I thought this might be a healthier option for me, because instead of generic points, it was focusing on food groups and making sure that I was getting certain types of food groups and a variety so that I was getting nutrients. And it was focusing on fueling my body instead of depriving my body. So I was very intrigued. I thought this might work. And the more I researched it, the more I researched Shakeology, the fact that it had dense nutritions and adaptogens that would help with healing my pituitary gland and hormone imbalance, which, hello, as well as other superfoods that were going to help with the milk production. I was cautiously optimistic. I was like, okay, I think this might be something that's going to work. Long story short, I did the 21 Day Fix. I added the 500 calories to the container count. I drank Shakeology every day, and I lost all my weight, and I maintained amazing milk supply, probably the strongest that I ever had. So now that you know my story, so I did that with my third, and then I did it again with my fourth. Same exact amount of weight to lose, same exact, everything. So having it work twice was kind of like, okay, I think this is legit. So I'm going to give you a few disclaimers now that I've told you my story before we move into the actual, like, here's the tips, here's what I recommend, here are the things. I'm not a doctor. I am not a nutritionist or a lactation specialist. I'm simply a mom with 8 years of experience and 4 kids. That doesn't mean that I shy away from sharing my experience. I respect every woman who is listening here, and I hope that you will take my words as simply another woman along this journey, sharing with you her story. It's a tradition that has existed for centuries. Women passing down traditions and remedies and experiences, experienced moms sharing with younger moms, taking them under their wing. Your story may be different. Probably is. You will encounter your own obstacles, and that's okay. It doesn't make you a better or worse mom than I. We each have our own stories, and it's a privilege to bear them. I trust that each of you are intelligent enough to take this information and evaluate it against what you know about yourself and your own baby. Okay, so there's my disclaimer. So here are my tips, my guidance for weight loss while breastfeeding. Number one, have patience. When I first started this journey, I wanted a quick fix. I wanted 1 month and I wanted to see results. I was ready to quit when that didn't happen. Before I was doing Beachbody stuff and I was working my butt off and I was like, nothing is changing, that's it. I'm just gonna accept that this is my body now. But I saw a video that changed all of that for me. It was a YouTube video about a woman who was significantly overweight, over 100 pounds to lose. And she decided that she was going to go to the gym for 100 days. And I was so inspired by her. I decided that I was going to make that my goal. Not losing a certain number of pounds or looking a certain way or fitting into a dress size, but just showing up for myself and exercising for 100 days. Now, I didn't do all 100 days in a row. It took me 6 months actually to finish my 100th day of working out. But I printed out a blank calendar, and every day that I worked out, I'd write the number. So 1, 2, maybe I'd skip the next day and I'd write 3 on the 4th day. But every day I did a workout, I got to add a new number until I got to 100. I didn't let myself go more than 3 days without working out. And any day that I ate according to my meal plan got a little check mark. So I didn't let myself go more than 3 days without putting a check mark and being on my meal plan. And I just kept moving forward, being patient and making progress my focus instead of results was crucial. And I can tell you, having coached, I just ran the numbers. I've coached 800 people in my career as a Beachbody coach, and over 400 of them have been breastfeeding moms. And I can tell you every single time, the people who get hung up on the results they want to see and not seeing them fast enough are the ones who give up. The people who focus on the process, enjoying the process, showing up for themselves on a consistent basis are the ones who stick with it and who end up seeing the results. So it was so cool, though, to make that my goal, the 100 days, because every day I got to write a higher number. I felt this pride well up inside of me. Oh, I'm at 51 days. Oh, I'm at 65 days. Oh, I'm at 78 days. And I felt pride every time, rather than if I were to weigh myself every day and feel the roller coaster of discouragement and, oh, I lost weight. Oh, I gained weight. Oh, it was just pride, satisfaction. Every day that I got to check another day off my list, I felt this swelling of like accomplishment. And that is so important to continue on your journey, is to have patience and to have pride in what you're doing, rather than letting your emotions ride the wave of, did I lose weight today? Or did I, whatever, am I fitting into my pre-pregnancy jeans yet or not? Number 2, take into consideration your hormones and your sleep. Hold on. I can't really see all the comments. Let me see if I can see the comments before I move on. Let's see here. Yes. Patience. Change that mindset. And love the process, guys. It makes such a difference. All right. So number 2, taking into consideration hormones and sleep. Now, when you're losing weight while breastfeeding, you have got to be patient because you've got a few extra things working against you, sisters. Hormones and lack of sleep. Hormones obviously are all over the place after giving birth, and we have to be patient with them regulating again. I mentioned this before, but Shakeology plays a huge part in regulating hormones, as does exercise and staying away from sugary sweets and carbs. Even if you do lose weight quickly and easily after giving birth, I would hear time and time again, and this would bug me so much. Oh, you can have a donut. You're breastfeeding. You're burning all those extra calories. Have 2 pieces of cake. You're breastfeeding. Enjoy it. It's not the calories that I'm worried about. I mean, yeah, but it's the sugar. It's the inflammation. It's the wreckage that will happen to your hormones and the imbalance that it will cause and inflame, and it's anxiety heightening. Sugars and carbs are. And so much of weight loss is a mental game. So even if breastfeeding was going to burn off that extra piece of cake, the anxiety roller coaster and hormone tornado that it would cause in my mind and heart could get me into a funk that would throw off my weight loss journey, because all of a sudden I'm battling mood swings and anxiety and depression and a negative body image. And I would just feel like, it'd make it a million times harder to get up and get my workout done or follow my meal plan or stay positive. And so Forget about the calories. What about the mental health? And sometimes when you get mentally in a funk, it could take weeks. It could take months to get yourself back into a good place where you feel like working out again. I don't know about you guys, but I don't need that. Even if I could burn off those extra calories from breastfeeding, I don't need that in my life. And so I would encourage you, keep that in mind, that this is so much more than just a calories in, calories out. You've got to take care of your mental health. And a lot of women ask me, I'm not cleared to work out yet. Maybe they just had a baby like yesterday, and they'll message me and say, I'm not cleared to work out yet. What can I do these first few weeks to get myself ready for my postpartum weight loss? And I encourage them every time, get your hormones balanced and your mindset strong. Read books about self-love, watch inspirational videos to fill your mind with positivity. Use essential oils to help with hormone balance. Drink Shakeology every day and be kind to yourself. I cannot overstate this aspect of recovery. It's not just about finding the right program or meal plan. It's about being strong enough mentally and understanding the obstacles that you're going to face during this season. It's a big deal, your mental health. It can affect everything. All right, now let's go on to sleep deprivation. The body has a really hard time letting go of weight when it's not getting enough sleep. I know, it's not fair, but know this, even if you are hanging on to those last 5 or 10 pounds until you wean the baby, and that happens sometimes you could be killing it in your workouts, killing it in your meal plan, and until you wean that baby, those 5 or 10 pounds are just gonna hang on there. Okay, that's fine. Don't let that discourage you from being like, then why even bother? I'll just wait until I'm done breastfeeding. No, all of that cardiovascular strength that you're building, all of that muscle that you're creating is increasing your stamina, your metabolism. You may or may not get shredded while you're breastfeeding, but you are not wasting those months by working out and eating clean. If you can get to bed earlier, do it. See it as a part of your workout regimen. I never did until 80-Day Obsession, I'm sad to say. And holy smokes, does it make a big difference. It's not the most fun thing. Just like waking up early isn't the most fun thing, going to bed early isn't the most fun thing, but it's kind of part of it. And for us to deny that sleep has nothing to do with it is a big mistake. So keep that in mind. If you're hitting against a plateau and you have an option of going to bed, and when I say going to bed earlier, sometimes I would go to bed at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Those nights when you know the baby's just going to be up like every hour or every 2 hours, like if you can, just do it, man. Give your body a freaking break. It needs it. Love that body. All right, number 3, eat enough. Eat enough food. The biggest reason why my clients plateau and do not lose weight is because they are not eating enough. You heard me. Eat more. This is why the 21-Day Fix was so amazing for me. It made me eat so much food. Even when I wasn't hungry, even when I didn't feel like it, it made me. And that fuel, my body was so happy. And I wasn't hungry, and it could feed the baby freely without worrying about not getting enough calories. I made so much rich, amazing milk. And I started shedding the pounds by eating a lot of food. And when I started cutting calories and skipping meals and depriving my body, it seized up and it held on to that weight and it wouldn't budge. And I was cranky and I was irritable and it was like bad news bears. So eat more food. Bump up a whole bracket if you're doing 21-Day Fix, or bump up a whole, add in an extra snack, 2 extra snacks if you're just eating clean and you're not doing that container system. Now, there are some people who do the 21-Day Fix, who do the container system and are still hungry. If you are still feeling hungry, eat. You should not feel hungry when you are breastfeeding and trying to lose weight. That's just my opinion. But it's a good opinion, okay? So now there's a difference between hunger and cravings. You will have cravings, and those we can say no to. But hunger, like I'm losing energy, focus, stamina, you have to pay attention to that. You have to pay attention to your body. And it might change even from day to day. The baby might have a growth spurt, and you could be extra hungry that day. Or you just had a really hard workout and your metabolism is revving up. If you are genuinely hungry, I recommend starting with water, moving to vegetables, and finally, if you're still hungry, add in some healthy fats. Nuts are my go-to, cheese, avocados, etc. Stay away from the sugars and carbs. We've kind of talked about that. Protein is fine. Protein is good. It's not as filling and satisfying as healthy fats, and it's a little bit harder to like have on hand. A bag of nuts or some coconut flakes, things like that, cheese, it's a little easier to have. So that's why I recommend that first. Okay, number 4, what do you do if you feel like your milk supply is dropping? So let's say you've started into your weight loss journey, you're feeling really good, but you're nervous. Like, how do I know if my milk is dropping? What do I do if I feel like it is? Before I go into this, there are a few misconceptions about what constitutes a drop in supply. Now, if your baby starts feeding all the time, all of a sudden, a lot of women freak out and think, oh my gosh, my supply has dropped. He's feeding all the time. He's hungry all the time. He's not getting enough. Usually that means the baby is going through a growth spurt and your supply is just fine. The more the baby feeds, the more milk your body produces. So it's a way to signal to your body to start making more. It's actually very healthy. It happens all the time, especially in those first few months. You don't need to jump to the conclusion that, oh my gosh, my milk supply is gone. Also, the amount of milk you're able to pump is not a good indicator of supply either. Some women like me are just not good pumpers. I would get like 2 ounces of milk and I have fat babies. So I know that, it's just, I'm not a good pumper, or maybe I just haven't found the right size, whatever. Different pumps work better for me and worse, but I've never pumped a lot of milk. Sometimes you can just jump to the conclusion, well, I must not be producing because I don't have a lot of milk. That's pumping. Well, that's not always an indicator. The baby always gets a lot more milk than you're going to pump. And some sides produce more than others. You just have that overachieving side and that, underachieving side. That's just the way it is sometimes. Also, the baby being fussy when you're feeding it could indicate low supply. That definitely could. It could also indicate a gas or a reflux problem. The best way to tell if your supply is dropping is weight gain of the baby and the number of wet diapers. So if your baby's diapers are not wet often and the baby is fussy, I would recommend bringing the baby into your pediatrician to be weighed. At the pediatrician, they can tell you how often they want you to come back. So if they're very concerned, they may want you to come back weekly. If they're not as concerned, maybe bi-weekly or monthly. Depends on what they say, but you can always go in and just say, hey, I just need to schedule an appointment to weigh my baby. I'm a little concerned with their weight gain. It's very easy. It's very quick. And that's the best way, if your baby is not making a lot of wet diapers, that you can tell whether or not there's a supply issue. One thing to note, though, about breastfeeding babies, they tend to grow differently than formula-fed babies. And the growth chart that your pediatricians have may be an outdated growth chart that is for formula-fed babies exclusively. So breastfed babies tend to grow more rapidly in the first 2 to 3 months of life and then less rapidly from 3 to 12 months. Any growth infant charts that were produced before 2006 do not take this into consideration. So I would bring that up to your pediatrician. If the pediatrician has any concerns about your baby's growth, just ask them like, well, this baby is exclusively breastfed. Is your growth chart up to date for babies who are exclusively breastfed? Because there's a different rate of growth and weight gain, and that's totally fine. If you do feel like your supply is dropping, or you just want to be on the safe side, this is what I did. Even though my supply never dropped, I was just like, I'm just going to do all the things just to be safe. Here's what I recommend. Drink a ton of water, 100 ounces minimum. Eat lots of dark leafy greens, bok choy, kale, spinach, anything that's dark and leafy. Get it in a smoothie, saute it up in your eggs, just eat it all the time. Yes, having a lactation consultant is huge, guys. If you have any, I would recommend that over the pediatrician just because that's their specialty. Definitely super helpful, very reassuring. Even if you just have a suspicion, why not get it checked out? What could it hurt? Definitely recommend that. La Leche League is a great place to start. All right, so eat lots of leafy greens. Oatmeal once a day. Oatmeal's amazing. Oatmeal. Sometimes if I couldn't have it, I would just dump the dry oatmeal into my Shakeology and mix it up, add a little cinnamon, and it tasted like an oatmeal cookie. It was really good. Oatmeal's great. Brewer's yeast is amazing for milk production. Lots of healthy fats. Almonds. I loved almonds. I would eat them all the time. Cashews are really good for that. Mother's milk tea. I love mother's milk tea. It kind of has a licorice taste. Not everybody likes it. I would brew a lot of it, put it into a pitcher, stick it in the fridge so it'd be cold, and then I'd add a little bit of fresh squeezed lemon and a little bit of honey or maple syrup, and it was delicious. It was like iced tea. So mother's milk tea is great, and Shakeology is amazing. It has superfoods in it that actually produce milk production or increase milk production. So it's great to add into your regimen. If you hit yourself with all that, you're going to see a great increase in your milk supply and your energy levels. The last thing I want to end with is the contributor of stress to both milk supply and weight loss. I believe this is something not a lot of people are talking about, and it's incredibly important. Stress and anxiety are bad for our health, like smoking a cigarette. When we decide to let these emotions linger, because they will come. There's no way to get stress and anxiety out of our life. They're going to come. It's what we decide to do with them once they come. Do we feed them? Do we let them fester? Do we indulge them and let them grow? If we do that, there are hormones and chemicals produced in our brain and our bodies. It gets released. And these substances in large amounts over time can lead to long-term imbalance, causing clinical depression. It can also contribute to tumor formation and organ failure. And of course, it keeps your body holding on to fat and can inhibit your milk production. There is a huge mind-body-soul connection, guys. It's why laughter is good medicine. It's why being skin to skin with a baby and loving on someone helps their bodies heal faster. And yet there are few seasons more stressful and anxiety-producing than motherhood. Having an infant, especially for a first-time mom, but even additional children, is not easy. Figuring out how to deal with stress is vitally important to your health and wellness journey. So here are my best tips for dealing with stress. Breathing and prayer and meditation. This is just